Today, very exciting. We are very lucky and fortunate to be joined by Karen Mathewson, who is the Director of Sales at Agilis Networks. So, Karen has spent more than 35 years helping businesses and communities grow across a range of industries. At Agilis Networks, she leads sales and partnership efforts, working closely with organizations across Northern and Central Ontario to bring better connectivity and infrastructure to the regions. She is especially passionate about building strong relationships and creating opportunities that support long-term community growth. So, with that being said, I'm very excited to hand this over to Karen, who's going to be talking more about how to land the business clients and share her wealth of knowledge with us. So thank you, Karen.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to start with sharing my screen. And I'll just move you guys over here. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Caitlin, and to the Regional Business Center for offering me this opportunity to speak with new entrepreneurs. I have to say that part of who I am is really driven by being able to help others succeed. It's something that makes me excited. It's something that helps me see growth, not only in our economy, but in relationships. And it's just a really, really great thing when businesses can come together and people can come together to help each other succeed. So today I'm going to be speaking with you about how to work with businesses when they are your customers. And so there's many different channels of trade. And so some customers are B2B, which is business to business, which we're going to speak about, B2C, which is business to the direct client. So many different opportunities, but this one is especially interesting to me. It's a bit of a different mindset. And I've really been focused on B2B sales pretty much my entire career. And although, Caitlin said it's 35 years, I did start when I was quite young. So, just have a lot of knowledge in a lot of different businesses. And I've been able to see that really what's important is not what's in your basket and what you have to sell. It's so important to build relationships and know who you are and learn how to connect to people and focus on teaching people that they can know you, like you, trust you. And when they do that, it's much easier to be able to share the things that you're passionate about with other people. So today, what I page down, I'm going to change this slide. All right. So I want to make sure that today is not a waste of time for you. So I know that we're on mute, but it would be great if we could maybe write something in the chat and Caitlin could share it with me, or if you want to come off mute and just share with me is one of the takeaways that you would like to have today that's going to justify you spending this time with us. So I'll give you a few minutes.
Hello.
Hi.
It's Sarah. Hi, Karen. We know each
Hi,
other.
Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Oh my
Nice to
gosh.
connect with you.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So I didn't really plan anything to say. I'm just really looking forward to any information I can get. I'm a brand new entrepreneur. I was working, thank you very much. I was working in corporate for, a good majority of my 20s and early 30s, and now I'm starting to venture on my own. So I'm just looking how to get in that entrepreneur mindset. And, for me, one of the most awkward things is when it comes to pricing, because I'm running my own business. It's a social media business where I run social media for smaller businesses, and I also make content, freelance content. So for me, one of the things that I'm struggling with is gauging pricing and how to navigate that kind of awkwardness where I don't feel totally confident with asking for certain amounts,
Right.
whereas I
Right.
know my value, but it's tricky when I've never had to do this before. So that's kind of something I'm looking to learn about how to navigate that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah, and congratulations.
Thank you.
It takes a lot of bravery to step out on your own. And I think, you know, having the structure around being an entrepreneur, it's kind of always in you. It's hard to it's hard to put into words what it means other than you have a belief in yourself, you have a belief in a product. And I think it's like wanting to kind of go outside the confines. Like you could be an entrepreneur in whether you're working in corporate and whether you're operating your own business. I know here at Agilis, I feel like Agilis is my business, and it's having that ownership of the success of the business and knowing the product that you have. And how that's going to help others. So when you see that you have value and it's something that other people need, it's really remembering that, you know, we can't always give everything away, but we can add value to some of the price points. So when you're thinking about pricing, maybe doing your market research and finding out what are other people charging, what does that look like with Google ads, Facebook ads, what does it look like with content development. And if you were to put an hourly wage to what you do and then determine how much time it takes you to do something, that's going to give you a baseline for how much you might want to charge a client. And so you can look at it in ways of what would it cost over a year program? What does that look like on a month to month? Whether you're going to do subscription, and you're kind of weighing out your hours invested. And if you want offline at another time, I'd be happy to sort of sit down and kind of go through that with you and help you with
Great.
that. One thing I will say is to never be afraid to ask for what you deserve. I think we get sometimes tripped up on feeling like, oh, sorry, like I hope that's not too much. And so it's really just being confident in what you do. And when we come from a mindset of abundance, we act in abundance and abundance will follow us. When we show up in a mindset of lack, then we're maybe sometimes working in that place where we're really gripping and I have to land this deal, I have to do this. And in that have to space, you maybe come up a little bit more against some obstacles. But when you can let go and sort of sit back and look at the bigger picture of what you're doing and what that outcome is doing for your client, how much money are they going to earn from that? So
Exactly. No, that's
all
exactly
along the
right.
way, everybody's earning it. So happy to
Thank
talk to
you.
you further, and hopefully that's helpful with your question. But thank
Yes, it was.
you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Sarah, and thanks for jumping on. It's great to know that we're talking to somebody. So I'll keep that in mind. Is there anybody else that has any top of mind thought as what they would like to learn?
We have some things in the chat. So
Okay.
we have, I hope to learn new strategies, ways to increase leads and connections for the corporate services portion of my business.
Okay. Pricing, strategy, leads, and what was the other one?
Connections.
Okay. Perfect.
Those
I'd like great.
We have another one. I'd like to know the advantages and disadvantages of different kinds of client outreach. So cold calling, emailing, going to potential clients in person, attending networking events, etc.
Is that everything?
That's everything for now.
All right. I will say that all of those outreaches are important. I wouldn't say that one is specifically more important than the other. It will all depend on the client that you're reaching or wanting to reach on what is the best avenue. So being sure that you have a mix of all of those within your portfolio is important. So cold calls are always great. People are afraid of them. I find a lot of people hate doing cold calls. I find that it's just a conversation. I actually love cold calls because you can make them more about learning than delivering. So I'll touch on some of that as we go through. And if you find when we're getting into the meat and potatoes and at the end, if I haven't answered any of your questions, then I would like to take questions at that time. So feel free to be writing those down as we go along, and I have no trouble with anybody needing to interrupt me if that makes sense for you. So what I want to do is just tell you a little bit about me. So I was born and raised in London, Ontario. I worked in the banking industry when I was there. I worked for Rogers at the time as well. And Rogers back then, I worked in the cable department, which we don't even really have anymore. And I would teach people how to set up their box tops and how to connect those things to their TV so that they could get pay-per-view movies and change the channels and all that interesting stuff. And then Rogers bought Blockbuster, and essentially I became a glorified video rental person. I was like, no, this is not for me. I want to do something more interesting. And so I had met some people who worked in the food industry. And so I was able to apply for a job with a company called William Dunn and Associates. And it is a food broker. And so they represented huge brands. And I'll tell you, it was one of the most exciting jobs I've ever had. I got to launch bottled water back in the day. Whoever thought at the time we would pay for bottled water? And now it's the #1 moving SKU in all retail stores. And with that job, I ended up being promoted regularly, which was nice. And they moved me to Barrie, Ontario. And so I lived in Barrie for 5 years, commuted back and forth to Woodbridge, and had a baby. And that just wasn't the greatest job for a mom. I was able to travel around the world and work with many different brands and many different product lines within the grocery retail channel. But that led me to the Northern Ontario, where I wanted to raise my kids in a northern setting. And so I've been here 21 years. When I first started, I went back to banking because it was what I knew, and kind of worked in banking part-time. And then I started with reliable maintenance in the janitorial services industry, working for a family business. I never even told them what I did. I just wanted to have a low profile. And so, but that business allowed me to meet pretty much every business in Sudbury, because when you're in people's bathrooms and kitchens, you get to know a lot about them. And those relationships are really what helped build my career. When I went back to Rogers, worked with Rogers again at Rogers Sports and Media, and then that transitioned to Agilis. Agilis was one of my clients, and I was building their brand in Barrie, and I had the opportunity to come and run the sales and revenue department. So I will say that each industry that I have been in has taught me a lot of skills. I also worked in multi-level marketing, and I was very intrigued by that process and that working environment. And what it allowed me to do is to have a lot of personal development and personal growth, a lot of teaching and training that gave me additional skills, which helped me with, a lot of emotional intelligence and how to connect with people. So there's so many different types of businesses, and so not one channel is really better than the other. But what I came to know is that it doesn't matter what you have to sell. People have to know you, they have to like you, they have to trust you. And you build trust by building relationships and being interested in people's businesses. So the other part of my life is to sit on the board for the Chamber of Commerce, and also for the Canadian Institute of Mining. And I did that so that I had an opportunity to give back to the city that really gave to me. And it's what I love about being in Sudbury. We're very close connected, and people really do like to see each other win. So that's just a little bit about my background. So where do I start? I think preparation on your business and your mindset determines everything. If we don't have dreams, we don't have goals, we can't see ourselves succeeding, and we live in that desperation field, then it really limits our growth. But if you can get into the mindset of gratitude and the mindset of just being open to learn and connecting with people, it's gonna provide you with a great foundation. So targeting, you want to make sure that you are defining your ideal customer profile. So when you're looking at the product that you sell, you want to determine what kind of businesses need it. So you kind of start a little bit broader and understanding what that channel looks like. So, and like with Sarah, for instance, she's selling social media, that's everybody. So really kind of figuring out what her niche is, what can she get passionate about, what channel do you want to work in, or what experience do you have so you can have a jumping off point. But really, really making sure that you find out who is your ideal client and then separate them into categories, and focus on one thing and do one thing really, really well to start so that you can then have referrals. You can create those experiences and duplicate those successes. When you have too many different areas that you're running around trying to do, sometimes that's difficult because a scattered mind is just confusion. And so just really narrowing down what you want to do, what your target markets are, and build out your client list from there. I'll kind of challenge you to write down like 3 types of businesses that could potentially buy what you sell. So, on a separate sheet of paper, write those down. What are the 3 different businesses? And then pick one of those businesses that you could solve a problem for. So we want to determine, what do they need? Where do they have a gap? It's not as important to talk about all of your features and benefits. We really want to focus on talking about the customer. So understanding who the client is, what their needs are, as much as you can find out about them, and pretend that you own them or pretend that you work there. And what would you do and how would you do what you do best in that environment? The next category I have is digital presence. So the way the world is now, everything, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, X, all things digital. That's how we buy things. It's how we sell things. It's how we learn about things. And so digital presence is really important. And that means with your business, it means with your interactions online, it means with your LinkedIn profile. So if you do not have a LinkedIn profile, that is one of the things I would ensure that you do and set up first. LinkedIn has some great training that you can participate in. But LinkedIn, really looking at other professionals in the industry, check out their LinkedIn page. What do they do? What makes them stand out? Get some professional headshots done. And I believe there's a new company that started and that you can take photos. They're beside the Y. I'm sorry, I forgot their name just now, but I'm positive Caitlin knows who it is. So there's opportunity for you to do professional headshots without spending a lot of money. And also in that same realm as is continuous learning. So again, LinkedIn has great courses. There's also Coursera online that offers many different areas for you to learn. So I think balancing out your doing and your learning, also AI, I mean, it certainly helps us learn, but make sure that you don't use it to be your business. You can tell online when people are using stock photos or AI generated, and it doesn't build trust. So really be authentic online, be authentic with who you are when you're representing yourself digitally. Keep some things separate as far as personal. You want to make sure that anything you do that's representing who you are is always going to be a reflection of your business. So if you don't want that information or somebody questioning you about it, then it just don't get it posted, because once it's there, it's there. So your story will be told before you ever say a word. And then the most important thing is just building relationships. And so transitioning from cold outreach to creating that digital rapport. So you're following people on Instagram and seeing clients and you're interacting with their posts, and they'll get to know you and they'll see that you're responding. And it's not always about the first sale, but it's about just, knowing who's out there, seeing what they do, see what you like, and just creating those relationships, setting coffee dates, all those kind of things are going to be important as you build that relationship. So what is networking versus transaction? There are so many different styles of networking, which you can go for a coffee date as discussed, or go for a lunch. Sometimes when you're asking somebody for lunch and you're a small business, then it can be expensive. So you might want to limit that to just a coffee, or find an event that's really interesting for yourself or very interesting for your potential client and invite them and say, hey, I think this is really cool. I'd really like to go. Would you like to attend with me? There's different ways of, sometimes when you're in your business, you're not aware of some of the things that are going on around you. And when someone kind of nudges you and says, hey, would you like to go to this networking event with me? I think it'd be really great for you. There's some people there that you could meet. It's also showing them that they can depend on you and that you understand their business. One of the questions I would write down as something that you ask everybody you meet is, who do you know that I should know? Once you've established rapport with someone or a group of people, people want to champion others. And so when they understand who you are and they understand a little about your business, and people will say to you, well, let me know what I can do to help you. The question is, who do you know that I should know? And can you make that introduction? Because when somebody introduces somebody and they already have that trust built up, they like that third party validation, you're more apt to be able to get an appointment. LinkedIn even has it built in where if you want to connect with somebody who you have a connection to, you can actually ask them to introduce you. So it's a pretty great opportunity, but truly is a golden question. Demystifying networking, it's not a numbers game, it's a connection game. I know in the past people used to like math it out, oh, if I have this many cold calls and I have this many meetings and I have this many, and that's great when you're maybe evaluating your successes or how you can see your gaps to maybe close your deals faster. But it's really truly about connection. And I would say in Sudbury, significantly more than anywhere I've ever worked. Working in Barrie, working in Toronto, working in London, they're bigger cities, but Sudbury seems to have like a 4-degree separation rather than 6. And so when you participate in the events that are happening within our city, you'll start to see that the same people are attending those places. And so it really does build your networking group. And then how do you build rapport naturally is by just naturally being you, be you. It's a book that my granddaughter reads and it's called Be You. And she used to run around saying to me all the time, be you, be you, be you. And I was like, why do you keep saying it to me? And I thought maybe it's something I need to learn, that who you show up as needs to always be your authentic self. You can't be someone else in different situations. You really have to be who you are so that it's easy and natural and you're not tripped up and you're not uncomfortable. So find common ground with people. When you meet somebody and you say, oh my gosh, do you know so-and-so? Suddenly they know that person, you like that person, or, oh, did you travel here? Or did you go to that school? Or did you buy this at that store? What did you think of it? Once people have that common ground, they feel like they're your best friend, and then that rapport will still continue to develop naturally. So find something to connect with somebody on that's common to something about you. So I'm just going to do this is a small little poll. I just want to see, do you recognize any of these events? And maybe put in the chat, where do you think this calendar's from? And I'll let Caitlin shout out what the answers are. If you don't know, please say I don't know.
The Chamber of Commerce, someone said.
Yes, absolutely. So, did anybody say I don't know?
No.
Okay. Chamber of Commerce is a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of connection. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a part of the chamber and on the board. I wanted to join the board because of the experience that I had with the chamber. So when I moved to new cities, that's the very first thing I did was join the chamber. It allows you to have learning. It allows you to have networking. It allows you to showcase your business. I don't know that I would have had the success at Reliable because I didn't know anything about janitorial supply products. I used them, but I didn't know anything about them. And going to these networking groups, I mean, everybody in every business uses toilet paper and cleaning supplies in some fashion. So this allowed me to really build the business, get to know the clients. It helped me get to know the city and what were the main topics, what did it have to do with our municipal and our government issues. So if you're not a part of the chamber, I highly recommend getting in touch with Sylvie at the chamber. I see Adriana has a question. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, not a question, more just that I started going to their events this year, and I know a lot of business owners actually in here. If everybody
Yes,
ever wants to come with me, 100% do it. It's nerve-wracking at first, but it's worth the money to go and do it. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much.
you're
I also,
welcome.
when you're there, go and introduce yourself to the people and at the chamber. And if I'm at a chamber event you're at, please come and introduce yourself to me. I would love to meet you in person. I know I
100%.
was
I'm
really,
going, yeah.
go ahead.
I was just like, yeah, 100%. I sometimes run in late from my photo studio, but I always show up.
That's amazing. That's so great. I really do love it. It's really been the focal point of I had a sales and marketing business as myself when I was in Barrie, and it was great. I it was super successful, and I just made a decision that I needed to focus on my son because he was two calling the babysitter mom. Um, so I kept you know a lot of the contacts through those businesses and passed on the opportunity for other people to service them, but the relationship stayed, and the Chamber of Commerce was huge for that. So thank you for sharing. All right, so working on your business versus working in your business. I find that to be one of the most important and challenging things for an entrepreneur because we like to do what we like to do. And that's why we started the business, because we have fun doing those things. But we have to remember sometimes to just go up and to a little bit higher level, take a bird's eye view of everything and put on your different hats. Put on your accountant hat, put on your banker's hat, put on your marketing hat, and, make sure that all of the different areas of your business kind of rate them. Where do I need to have a little bit more focus? Is it more networking? If I need more sales, then do I need to do more cold calls right now? So just kind of take that time sometimes where you'll schedule your working hours of being in your business and schedule your working hours of working on your business. And one of the things that I really try to push here with my team is to work on tomorrow before tomorrow begins. So work on the week before the week begins, the month before the month begins, the quarter before the quarter begins, and the year before the year begins. Because if we are not planning, then we can plan to fail. It's really, really important to just keep track of that. And the best way to do it is to make sure that you're scheduling it. So if you have goals that you're going to reach by the end of the week, you need to make time before the end of the week to say, how close am I? What do I need to do? Do I have an extra hour to put in this push on the business? So you're kind of always in flux between on and in. But I really, really highly recommend that you make sure that you take some time and you just think about that. Have I spent too much time working in my business that I'm not working on it, or vice versa? And if you have any questions about that, feel free to shout them out, put them in the chat. So daily review, revenue generating tasks, firefighting if you have problems, operational executions are all those things where you're working in, and then working on again is like your strategic planning, what your pipeline building is. I don't know if people do mind mapping or brainstorming, people call it too, and I'll just put like in the center, new customers, and then I'll just have like all over the page whatever I think of, and I kind of have it scribbled beside me, and as things come up I just mind map it all out and brainstorm, and then pull that together at another time where I'm really focusing on uh, uh, um, putting them into the categories, and then making a plan around them. So if you need to scale, you cannot scale if you're always working in your work. You have to make time to plan. All right, so metrics and goal setting. So we want to create our sales funnel, and that's translating all of your ideal customer profiles into actionable targets. So everybody knows about SMART goals, so making sure that they're actionable targets, and maybe breaking them down. Is this a client that I'm going to be able to close in 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, a year? Some clients here at Agilis, it takes us 2 or 3 years to close them, and you think that it should be, maybe faster than that because it's internet services, but they could be in a contract with somebody else. Maybe they don't have enough information. Maybe we haven't built fiber to that area yet. So if you're looking at what is the long cycle, why is it a long cycle, and what are the things I need to do so that I have mile markers within that time frame to make sure that I'm staying on top of it and not reaching out to them in another year and then they forgot who I am. The other thing is to make sure that you have all your essential KPIs. So your key performance indicators, like how many cold calls or reach outs did you have? How many conversations did you hold? How many meetings did you book? How many meetings were you able to attend? So it's great that you booked them, but did they actually happen? And then SWOT analysis, those can be used for many different things within your business. Your SWOT analysis is taking account of your framework to test your sales strategies. So, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So if you are not sure about them, I recommend that you Google it, look it up, AI, and talk about, here's my business, what is my SWOT analysis. You can do it with customers, you can do it with yourself, you can do it with your business, you can do it with your goal setting, creating customer profiles. So those are really, really great, and something that I would recommend that you work into your business schedule. Budget and operational reporting. So, entrepreneurs sometimes forget about this piece. We're just like, let's go do it. And we don't want to ask for the money, or we get it and we put it in the bank and we're not really, always on track of, well, I need to buy this. Is it in my budget? So it's not just cash, it's time. Your budget and operational reporting is also time, because time is money, you are valuable. So if you spent, 4 hours on something, what's your rate? That's a part of your operational expense. So remembering to include you and your time, even if you're not paying yourself out in the beginning, because we all know as entrepreneurs, it's hard to do that right away. We keep investing in our business. And just with that, from a banking perspective, pay yourself 10%, and even a little bit, and just put that away for yourself so that you can see that, who cares if it's $10, $20, $100. It's something that shows that you're earning and you're succeeding. So 10%, a little bit every single time. You don't have to spend it, but it's nice to have, and it's nice to look back on and just kind of keep it in your pocket. So strategic spending, making sure that you're evaluating those spends. How does that equate out to your return on your investment? So that's what I was talking about. Like, you might not want to take somebody for lunch, but maybe take them for a coffee because it's a little bit less expensive. If you're, doing memberships, is that making sense for you? You know, whether you're subscribing to a magazine or you're subscribing to, I don't even know off the top of my head, all different areas that might make sense for your business. Oh, I have somebody. Okay. That's just somebody joining, right? It's not something you need to ask me.
Yeah, that's someone joining. And then Adriana had just put in the chat, it's also a write-off in terms of
Yes.
we were
Yes.
discussing.
That's right. So that's for sure why you have to track it, and knowing, where your funds are going, what they mean to you for your business, and how you can use them, because that is another way of earning money, is by your tax benefits, which is great. So yeah, evaluating your ROI, make sure that the things you're spending time on and money on are worth what you're doing for the outcome. Some things are priceless, really. And there's a lot of things we can do that don't cost money, that are more valuable than things that we spend money on. So just be specific and intentional about your spend. Tracking systems, so CRMs, customer management systems, are always really important. And even if you're a small business, what sort of CRM do you have that makes the most sense for you? Just simple tracking, but it definitely is a must. And I'm a firm believer that we need, like I say, don't wait till the end of the month to put all your receipts in. When you have it, just do it that day, get it done, do it now. Doing it now versus postponing till it's convenient never seems to come around. So, or you forget. So I love Nike. They say just do it, and I say just do it now. And I say it often. Do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. And I learned that actually from John Maxwell and his leadership coaching and training. So there's some great stuff for training and development, just even on YouTube. So personalization. So finding a tracking method that fits your workflow, your complexity. Yeah, that's the enemy of consistency. So just making sure that you stay consistent. And if it is something that is more in depth, really making sure that you have the right person to work with, whether it's an accounting firm or the regional business center, because they offer so much assistance. So these things are important for your business long term. And it's terrible to wait and then figure out that you should have done it months ago. And if you did, so what? Start today. Marketing and branding, being consistent with that. So it's really important that you are consistent. I would say that if you're going to post once and never post again, don't post at all. I think that it's important to make sure that you schedule that as well. You can schedule in LinkedIn all of your posts. You can get your messages out there, do a blend of personal, a blend of business, include photos or little short video clips, or something that draws people's attention. And you can schedule out 6 months of posts if you need to through LinkedIn, and it's really, really handy. Make sure that you have brand alignment. You want everything to be consistent so that when somebody sees it, they know it's you. So your colors are the same, your font is the same. Yes, your messages can change based on the areas of your business, but really ensuring that you have that brand alignment with your colors, your font, your messaging, who you are, how you portray yourself. Resource allocations. So, are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to subcontract? Are you going to hire an agency? Just understand, like, if you need to do that, who they are, really research them to make sure that they are in alignment with you, and also make sure that they maybe are not exactly like you, because it's good to be challenged. And, some people that have better strengths than me in other areas, I lean on them so that I'm not missing something that's really important part of my business just because it's not my expertise. And when you are working with people and then you find out that they didn't understand or they're not aligned, it's really hard to get away from it if you haven't done your due diligence in the beginning. So prioritizing your priority over volume. So avoiding that shiny object syndrome, choosing channels based on your buyer's behavior. Just again, that's just really knowing more about where you want to focus your business. And like, sometimes people want to have like a shiny object, like, oh, I want the skylight so I can manage my calendar, or I want to have this best technical device so that I can manage my business. And you're spending money on it, and then you're spending time inputting the information, and maybe sometimes just having a book initially to help you get started. So just make sure you just weigh those things out. Quality first. So why a focused presence beats diluted multi-channel strategy. And so I'll give you an example of that. So I worked for Rogers Sports and Media. And so part of our advertising structure obviously was radio. And when we talk about doing radio advertising, there's you're advertising to many versus to one, but you need to think about how you want to portray your message. So if you're focusing on many different radio stations, it's diluting your message to all these different places, which means you can't spend as much in one. But if you spend more money focusing on one channel of where you really want to focus and be good at it and let that start to grow and develop for you, then you can start to expand your reach. So just looking at that presence for you, making sure it's quality and that you're building that one area really well before you start expanding out into others. Hopefully I explained that okay. It felt like I'm a little convoluted. Community involvement. So power of boards. We talked about the Chamber of Commerce, and being on the board really allows me to learn a lot about what's happening in our city, what businesses are coming to the city, what opportunities, how that grows. Working with the Canadian Institute of Mining, I get to learn a lot about the mining industry and what they're doing, their growth, what the different types of people that are in that business. So how not profit involvement builds that high level of credibility. So when you're talking about being involved in your chamber, being involved in a board, or being involved in a networking group, or working with, I don't know, like a not-for-profit or something like that. It just helps you, helps the community see who you are, and it also helps you network more and see um, more people that you can connect with. But it kind of also gives you a little bit of credibility because you're you're giving back, you're meeting people, and you're contributing in different ways. So again, utilize your local chamber by maximizing your chamber benefits. So Sudbury, the chamber has the Chamber Perks app. So is there something you can put on the Chamber Perks, or is there businesses that you can use their services from the Chamber Perks? And are they a business that you might be able to connect with by utilizing their services? So a lot of times, I'm going into different locations and wanting to purchase something for myself personally, my family, friends. I can ask them, so, who's your current internet provider and are you happy with their services? So it gives me an opportunity to talk about my business as well as learning about their business. And then storytelling, using the community work as your social proof. So in having those B2B sales conversations and asking other people, like, what are you experiencing? Where have your successes been in business to business sales? What challenges are you facing? So you get a chance to really connect with other people who are in the same situations as you or have been in them, and you can learn from them. All right. So I'm not sure what time it is. Where is it? Okay, we have 5 minutes left. So I'm coming to the end. And what I did here was I'll share this presentation with Caitlin and she can share it with you. But I have a recommended reading list for entrepreneurs. I cannot tell you how helpful reading has been for me in learning new things to apply to my business in whatever capacity I've ever been in. So quickly, the 5-second rule with Mel Robbins is really like just having that fear and doing it anyways. So you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this thing. I don't want to do it. Well, I'm going to do it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And by the time you get to 1, you're up and walking and moving. You give yourself 5 seconds to take action. Feel the fear and do it anyways. This is an old book, like old, probably 30, maybe even 40 years old. And really, it's just about, yes, everybody's scared. So what? Just do it anyways, because you'll find out that it's actually not as scary as you think. I say that fear is false evidence appearing real. And so we just go ahead and do it anyways. And after, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I did that. It wasn't as scary. The Obstacle is the Way is one of the more recent books I read, Ryan Holiday, and it really talks about everything that is your problem is actually the way to solve your problem. And so this book is an amazing way to teach you how to look at obstacles differently and how to move forward through them or moving them to the side or whatever. So it's awesome. Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Like this one is just like do it once, then do it again. Rinse and repeat. We say that a lot here. Let's do this. It worked really well. Let's do it again. Making sure you're plugging in all the right things. Atomic Habits. Fantastic. I will tell you that the CEO that was at Rogers, Joe Natale, he made us read this book during COVID. And it is incredible. Creating really good habits is so important for the success of your business and really for yourself. When you have good habits, it can touch all areas of your life. So for Leadership and Purpose, Start with Why, another one of my most favorite books, because if people don't buy what you're selling, they buy why you're doing it. And so really learning about why it's important to you, it's what drives you, and why you're selling it is what drives other people. So Eaters Eat Last. I will give you this book. This presentation with all these books. So there's quite a few on each page. Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is great. It's fun and it's interesting. There's another one for building your business, and then another one for sales, how to win friends, influence people, the go-giver, building a story, never split the difference. And then for perspective and resilience, the hard thing about hard things, and really entrepreneurship is messy. We can all do hard things. You've clearly proven that you can do hard things because you actually started a business. So that's the hardest part. Everything else really is easy. It just seems hard, and you just tell yourself I could do hard things, and then they're easy. So what you think about, you bring about. So you think about your success. Start at the end. What do I want to achieve? And then work your way back. There's just so many little things I could share and tell you as well with like, quick things. But those I think are the most important things about how to sell B2B in a nutshell. Make sure you have brand recognition online through LinkedIn, especially Sudbury is very hot with LinkedIn. Have a Instagram account, connect with other businesses through Instagram, especially ones that you want to be yours or ones that are doing what you're doing, and see what they do. Attend networking events. Have a mix. Always do your cold calls. If you're doing email marketing, you need to remember that you have to have opt-in so people are not spammed. You can get in trouble for that. Meeting people in person, calling on the phone, all of those ways of interacting. I will say the most important thing about when you're having a cold call or a meeting with somebody is you want to ask them questions, learn more about them so that you can find the gaps in their business for you to be able to solve them. When you meet with somebody and you just vomit everything about your business, they shut down. You're excited, but they might not be. So you want them to ask more questions about you by you asking questions about them. Be prepared. Let me see. I got some notes. Let me just see. We'll end here. So okay, that's it. I think I covered it all that I have. Does anybody have any questions before we close off?
again, feel free to either unmute yourself or use the chat function, and I'll make sure to relay those. I do have a question, and I think all of the information you shared was so beneficial. I really like the way when you were talking about like your competitors sort of thing, do your competitive research, find out who they are, but then also identify those gaps that you can fulfill yourself. But just tips about outreach. So I know that outreach can be very scary to some people, and like we always talk about cold calling and how some people perceive it as like a bad thing. But when preparing yourself for outreach, what kind of tips would you provide just to get started or just to make that first call? Because we know once you do it once, then like we said, it can become a habit or it can snowball. But any tips to do it for the first time?
I would definitely be prepared. So have a script of what you want to say. And your cold calls are not about selling your product. Your cold calls are about booking a meeting. What you want to do in a cold call is ensure that you have another conversation. So, have a script, know what you want to find out from the person, like asking them, always about asking a question. First of all, is this a good time? Did I catch you at a bad time? It is hard, it is scary, and there's not really one straightforward answer for each one because every business is different. I think when you know who you're reaching out to and you know what that gap is, it's going to direct you. But the one thing I will say is that what you want to do when you're reaching out is to book an appointment and be able to either meet them on Zoom, meet them on Teams, meet them in person, or be able to send them an email and let them know that you would like to share some information with them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Also connect with them on LinkedIn. It's a really great way to connect with them on LinkedIn and just like compliment them on something that you noticed. Hey, I wanted to connect with you because I see that you're very active in this particular area. I'd love to learn a bit more about it. Do you have time for a coffee? Could you share some of your insights?
Perfect. And that goes back to your slide when you were talking about like finding something in common with them, sort of thing, and it makes things a little bit more easy.
Like I would never call somebody and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, do you want to sign up with Agilis Networks for your internet? They're going to be like, what? No. So
Right.
yeah, just think about how you sound. How do you want people to talk to you?
Perfect. Any other questions?
I feel like there's so much more that we could talk about.
An
Sorry.
hour just isn't long enough.
Yeah. But if you do have questions and you do, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Karen. It's Gates. I've actually worked with GSU for a few years with Wendy at the time, and currently with Claude. So it's a pleasure meeting you. Great talk. I think one of my questions was just regarded to growth and how you handle growth, and what if it's happening too fast, and how would you pivot, and what would you sacrifice, I guess, because of that, the speed of in which you're growing.
Right. Okay. So sometimes we get into that where we have a whole bunch of builds at one time. So first of all, you got to breathe. You got to take a pause and you have to assess. So where am I growing? Do I need additional resources? And what are the resources that I need? Do I need more people? If it's just me, how much more time do I need? What can be sacrificed? Well, I'm focusing in this area if it is just me or I can't afford to bring somebody else on. Is there somebody within my network that could help me that I don't have to pay? And then evaluate like what am I willing to lose? Because sometimes they have to wait and you have to categorize what that potential loss could be to you. And if you can't afford to lose it and you have to do it, then what you have to write down, like, what are all my options? And then what are all the risks associated with those options? And then you're gonna sometimes just pick like the least, the least path of resistance. And sometimes there's there's something there. But I think you really just need to evaluate, what can I do? Who do I need help? What kind of help do I need? And what can I lose? Do I need to tell my family, hey, listen, the next few weeks, like, I'm super, super busy and I'm not going to be able to do this, this, and this, and I can't commit to it. Or you're going to have to tell, like, is it a client? You know what? I really want to do this for you, but I'm looking at this much of a timeline. So I think it's being clear with what your capabilities are. And like I said, who you need to help, what are you willing to lose, and what's your potential gains with that? I hope I answered that okay.
Yeah, well, that was great. I'll be reaching out on LinkedIn. I have a few opportunities for you.
Great,
So
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for
Thanks,
the talk.
Keaton.
It's great.
My pleasure. Yes, thanks.
Any final questions before we wrap things up?
Oh, Michelle, hello. How are you? You quiet man, you. Just looking at who's here.
For once, I'm quiet.
Well, if there's anything that you guys need, whether it's, you can send an email directly to me or send it to Caitlin, and I'm happy to connect with Caitlin. If there's anything specific in an area where you want to go for coffee, I'm happy to do that with you.
Thank you so much, Karen. This was very, very insightful, and I hope everyone was able to walk away with a couple things. But yes, we will send a follow-up, and we'll make sure to get the presentation over to you all as well. But thank you again for your time and your sharing your expertise. It's always greatly appreciated. And just for everyone on the chat, like I said, we have some upcoming webinars as the fall season begins. So if you are interested and you found this insightful, please feel free to head to our website and you can learn more information. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care and we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks, you too. Bye, Caitlin.
Bye. See you later.